Hey, just to give everyone just a quick note, Mike Jeffries has got the lead-off case, and he and Hunter are trying to save a file to share it on screen. So that may take just a minute or two to get ready.
Completely forgot. Everything said that you do not remember. Thank you, Jeff. All right.
Good morning.
Hey, Hunter, we got you. Or I can hear you good. I can hear you fine.
Awesome. I know Jeff said there's a new feature. If y'all look at the bar on the bottom that says "Raise your hand," so if somebody's got a monopoly on, how did we get Christina on both screens? Christina, we see you split screen.
And it's super close up too.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I feel like an eye doctor.
Right. I'm not sure how we went. What happened there?
It's that new phone.
Turn on live. Christina, we're still can't hear you.
Yeah, Christina, you're muted.
Turn the phone side where it doesn't unmute you.
Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
I am curious though why we're only getting you video. Mike, if you want to get started, if everybody's here, let me go look at what she's got set up.
Okay.
I think she's sharing her screen or something.
I think that's right, Mike. I think Christina is sharing a screen. She's sharing an image. It froze an image and then has shared that screen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
She's the only one with the camera on. I think that's what it is. Is everybody else's camera off, maybe?
Yeah. Well, I don't have one, so it stays turned off. But yeah, that's an image. It froze an image of Christina and shared it. I'm sorry, everyone. Nothing like live TV. I'll tell you what, everyone. I'll make just a quick announcement here while we're getting that technical issue handled. The Mars Hill subdivision we heard at the last Planning Commission meeting. Dewberry reached out to me, and they didn't see the need to participate in this meeting today. They're going to meet with us separately on Monday. So the intent is for that item to be on the July meeting for consideration, but we're having a standalone meeting with them on Monday.
Buford, can you confirm? I'm back with Christina. With her, we dropped out and joined again.
So Hunter, I see you and Christina. I see your video. That frozen image of Christina is still showing up on our screens.
Yeah, but if you hold your mouse over that frozen picture, it actually says City of Fairhope. So it's just, I don't know if it's something on Jeff's end or something.
Jeff, is that on your account?
My door is shut, and I was like,
You sharing screens?
no, I was hearing.
Just stay right here. Good. Okay.
Yeah, Christina should be good. I think it's the City of Fairhope one.
Okay. Hey, and good morning, everyone. There's several people who just joined us, who just admitted. As you can tell, we have a little bit of a technical issue, so just bear with us.
You'll hear it.
No, I haven't heard Jeff. I don't know if Jeff is on with us.
think that fixed it.
Hey, Larry, good morning. Just saw that you came in. We got a little bit of a technical issue we're working through, so bear with us just a minute.
Let Mason see.
I think we're good, Buford. It's going around like it should on mine.
All right, very good.
Is the city of Fairhope account whoever's logged in there? Yeah. It looks like they're sharing their screen. Right.
I'll tell you what we can do.
I think it's fixed, Hunter. I think we're good.
You can log into that account and stop.
I'll tell you what, Mike, if you can hear us, if you want to try to share one of your screens you need for your case, give it a try.
So that's the user.
1 second, Beaver.
Hold on, we got Mason right here and support. So this is Christina. This is the City of IT account. And it's kind of missing stuff. So either Joe or Jeff or somebody signed in for this meeting. And they're sitting there somewhere on a phone or a computer somewhere around the city. And they've got this locked up. If they can just go in and, there it went. There it went.
Okay, much better.
All right, here we go. That's good. They're okay to be here. Mason, I just need him in the room, and it works. So, okay, I'm gonna hand over to Mike and let him run through this one. He's in the same office with me, so.
All right, Tom, are you with us today?
I am.
How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Find the camera off.
So this is Parkstone. Give me a second, I'll share screen with you. So this is the subdivision plat for Parkstone. This is case SD 20.23. This is on Parker Road across from the public subdivision. We heard this last month at the DRC meeting. Due to just a few incompletions that didn't quite make it on the last month's agenda. We're going to get those revisions this month and proceed with the July 6th Planning Commission meeting. Tom, I was able to look over the plat that you sent over. And the first 2 items that were on the cover letter that I sent you last month, revising the sewer certification and adding a note for the commercial lot ingress and egress, has been done. Talked with Terry Holman in Gas, and he said he has been in contact with you for as far as a gas easement along that access strip that connects to Loris Way. Is that accurate?
That's correct. And my question on that, when we get that easement secured, they're going through that, going back through a title, there's a little glitch on the title work, so we're going back through that. Can I just, so I call it out as ingress, egress, utility easement, just call it out on the plat as such?
Yeah, that would be fine. You just call it a utility easement in the ingress egress.
Yeah.
It shows up on the plat and the tax map that Mr. Barnhill still owns that 30-foot strip. Is that still going to be under his ownership separate?
No, it is not. It shows that, I think actually it's already transferred hands, and they're gonna show that as an easement, not as a parcel of property.
Okay, that's why I just wanted to. Yeah. That 30-foot, but that is a 30-foot strip of land, correct?
Yes, it is. There's that little gap section there between Barnhill and Loris Way. There was a little glitch in some of the title work, so they got an attorney straightening that out right now.
And Tom, I just want to clarify what you just said. It is going to be a piece of property and kind of be treated as a common area that the POA owns, but it gives the easement ingress egress. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right.
So Tom, hey, this is Buford. Just my question here. So what the effect of recording that plat will do will also replat that strip of land into this development.
Last night.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Very good.
The other notes that we had was revising the green space
I left all your surveys and all, the box out.
Somebody is doing a lot of talking in the background.
I didn't text you that. The hell you didn't. You told me.
I think that's
Hey, Seth, can you hear us?
I'm muting him right now. He's muted now. Seth, we just muted you, so you'll have to unmute when it's time to talk, but we'll get to you in just a second.
Anyway, like live TV.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, Mike,
Yes, sir.
this Tom, we have revised, we've got that green space drawing, and I can shoot that to you. That revision has been done, so.
Yeah, the sooner you can get that to me, Tom, the better. Then I can go ahead and start looking at that in case there's any other discrepancies or any minor changes that need to be made.
Okay.
It goes back to you as soon as possible to allow as much time as possible to get everything corrected and all the T's crossed and I's dotted on that.
Absolutely. The only thing I don't have, and I'm still waiting on Curtis Cooper with the utilities, is we still haven't been cleared to do the fire flow test. He tells me we're first in line when they can, but we haven't. Just want to bring that up. I don't have that yet. So.
Yes, sir, and that's not a problem. We understand the way we got the little drought that came through, everything that's going. Everybody's kind of under a little water strain here.
Yeah.
That's fine right now. We've talked with Curtis and Jay and understand those challenges and are able to work around those at this point.
Okay.
Hey, Tim and Curtis is here. Next Thursday would be okay to do a flow test.
Okay.
No time.
Need a time though.
Okay. Let me get with my guy, and Curtis, I'll give you a call back. So that's okay.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That is so Tom, you get those revised drawings to me to take a look at. That is the extent of what I had to cover. Do you have any other questions for anybody else that may be listening at this point in time?
I do not. I think we're all good. I appreciate y'all's help.
All right. Any other staff members have anything for Tom?
I'm good.
All right. Well, Tom, I certainly do appreciate it, and I'll be looking for an email with those drawings, and I'll get feedback to you as soon as I can.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. See you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay. That one.
All right. So our next case is SD 20.28. This is Park Place on Greeno MOP. Mr. Larry Smith with SE Civil is the engineer of record. Are you here with us, Larry?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, great. So we went over, saw you on site yesterday, so you kind of got a little preview of what we were looking at out there as far as the trees and landscaping. I'll go over a few of the general comments that were on the letter. What's that?
I think that's feedback.
But some of the comments, and there's 1 second.
I'm just gonna mute everybody except for Larry right now, and so if anybody needs to speak, you'll have to unmute. Give me a second. We're getting some feedback through somebody's mic. All right, that one. I think that was it. All right, Larry, you still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Great. So for the MOP, we will need an actual preliminary plat with the preliminary plat information that's required for the subregs in Article 4, Section C. And it'll also need to show that the two parcels are being combined into one parcel.
Mm-hmm.
Water and sewer, all those concerns I know are being addressed between the Water and Sewer Department and yourself. With electric, I know there's power there, but they don't have three-phase power. Jerry said that it was possible to get it there. And have you been in contact with the electric department on the process and what it's going to take to get three-phase power to the site?
Nah, I hadn't heard that there wasn't three-phase already there, so we'll be in touch with them.
Okay. And gas. are they planning on trying to bring gas to the site and use that?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that I'll get with Terry Holman on that and see if he has any additional concerns or what it'll take for that. The traffic study recommends the southbound left turn lane. That'll be something that'll be required prior to approval of final plat. Have you gotten any updates from AlDOT for both the traffic improvement and the sewer that's going to have to go under Greeno?
No, we submitted to them the same time we submitted to y'all, so they normally get us comments within a month. So we're still awaiting comments from them. I mean, but it's not the first time they've seen it. We've been communicating with them and had pre-application meeting with them and discussing how we're going to do the turn lane with the existing dual left lane there, and how those transitions would work and all that. So they're very aware of the project, and we're basically designed everything how they asked us to lay it out. I don't expect any issues.
No concerns with the sewer going under the road?
I don't currently have any concerns with it. I know I spoke with Jay Whitman, who wanted to look at doing a pump alternative versus a gravity, and so we're gonna look at that too.
Okay. Some other small notes just on the erosion control plans. Need to note the size, the minimum size for the construction entrance.
Yeah, that's shown in our detail. If they go to the erosion control details, it's called out as a minimum of 20 by 50.
Okay, I must have missed that then. Just the red soil or clay within 100 feet. Simple note.
Yeah, can we talk about that? I've never heard it within the area of a detention pond. That one's a new one to me. Is that some new nuance y'all found within it? Normally I see it within, the difference to any wetlands or things like that, but
hey,
within
hey Larry. Hey Larry, this is Eric. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We have said detention ponds because the detention ponds lead to the outfall, which leads to the watersheds, which leads to the bay. So if there is, now here's the question. If it is required fill for a road base and you've got to have a good compactable material for a road base, or if it's a building foundation that's within a floating slab so it's encapsulated within the block, then we'll allow it based on those. But in general, we try to keep any kind of staining soil away from anything that is a water conveyance, whether it's a detention pond or a creek bed or something like that. So we'll address that as you start with your construction documents. We'll see, are you looking at it as a road base? Is that what you're thinking?
The geotechnical engineer, I need to go back and see what the section is, but we've got some pretty bad soils out there. So there's going to be, I think, 2 foot of import structural fill up underneath the paving. And so
no, we'll certainly look at that during the construction. What we don't want to do is tell you can't use a compactable material under a road and then your road collapse because of that. So when we get into the engineering of the actual road base and sub base, then we'll sit down and look at that when it's ready to get a land disturbance and get started on the infrastructure.
All right. So is that, I do need that note or I don't?
Well, the note will be on there, but no, I have the latitude as the administrator of that ordinance, depending on the circumstances. And typically I'm going to fall back on engineering specifications. And, so we're not going to dictate what kind of sub base you can use for your road if that's what you need for a solid foundation for the road. Okay.
All right, the next item on the list was it's a PUD is what it's zoned, and it has an approved site plan that shows the buildable areas. Do you know the number of buildings or the stories per building and how many units per actual building, I'm sure the planning commission is going to have, one a few answers to what this MOP going to actually look like, as opposed to just knowing there's 35 units going on, 5.5 acres.
And, as when we went through the PUD and we told them this is a, potential vision for it. And I mean, nothing has changed since the last time the planning commission has looked at this. We're giving them the total units, but somebody can come in and buy a whole block and it can be one building, or they could come in and portion it out as per the approved PUD. There's verbiage in the PUD saying how much first floor area they have to have versus how much second floor area, but that's just a process that will be managed, and they'll get to have another swing at it at the site plan. But no, they're not building buildings. They're selling off lots, just like if we came in and just carved off a subdivision. But we're trying to put the infrastructure in so it'd be one harmonious development versus a bunch of different different parking lots.
Right. Okay.
So to answer your question, no, we know the total number of units we're willing to have it carved down to, and all of that is, in conjunction with what the approved PUD was that the planning commission approved and the city council.
Okay. Yeah, so then that will probably be, as a condition, maybe a mandatory site plan review for each unit as it comes up. But some of the stuff that will have to be done, such as the landscape buffering, that will have to be done all at one time for the perimeter. I know the PUD calls for at least, I think it's an 8-foot tall fence and the 4-foot row of evergreen hedges along the northeast and west boundaries of the property. We don't really want those being done piecemeal, as if somebody's building the first building and it's 60 feet and they put up a 60-foot section of fence.
No, we provided y'all a landscape plan. I know there's some issues on the landscape plan we'll address, but what's shown on that landscape plan is being installed per this approval in the MOP. We're installing the perimeter. You would, I think, question what some of the grade stuff back. That internal landscaping is what we're proposing to come when around the actual buildings, when each individual unit. But yeah, we definitely agree we need to put the perimeter landscaping in. We want it to look like a finished shopping center that just needs, some buildings built.
Okay. So, and Larry, the question on that, just for clarification, at this stage you are intending on building out all parking areas, or is that going to kind of wait to the site plan?
No, all the parking areas, that's what we're coming in for. We're trying to build the parking lot, and we'll build to the back of curb, and then everything inside those, I'm going to call them islands, everything inside those curb islands will be just undeveloped, and they'll just have to grass that, and then a building gets built and the internal sidewalks and everything else. So other than those 3 islands, everything else will be built.
Okay.
Hey Larry, this is Buford. I've got a quick question. Is there a desire by the developer to create a lot, to create an actual lot of record around each of the building sites?
There could be,
Okay.
and that's whether they go condo route or a lot of record. I don't know, but I mean, I know that if somebody wants to own it, it gets a lot more complicated. But and they might own the actual building site, and then the parking lot be common if it goes that way. But
that's not part of the MOP request.
Not right now. Not right now. And Larry, and completely understood that that's an unknown at this time. That's where the final plat process on MOPs that we have now, that's where that might be helpful, because if all of that is known, and all of that is worked out between now and then. It can just be reflected on the final plat. So kind of keep that in mind. That might be something helpful.
Okay.
All right. We kind of touched on the landscape plans. We will need some revised landscape plans. All the trees that are on site, there are several heritage trees, a lot of them being pine trees that were not located. There's also several heritage trees that are marked for removal that will probably be required to remain on site. And I know there's a lot of buildable area. One example, there's a large 60+ inch oak tree that's to remain, and it's at the corner of the proposed building area, but the canopy alone goes almost all the way to where there's the existing property line is now. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear. We'll definitely need a revised landscape plan to show all the trees and some of the canopies of the trees that are being retained, and we can get into that in a separate conversation to discuss the actual landscaping details on what trees will need to be saved and what trees will be able to be taken out. But there are several specimens out there that aren't in decline, that are actually very healthy trees for the horticulturalist, that won't be allowed to be removed from the site.
Yeah. The landscape architect, I believe, if he hasn't already, is going to be reaching out to the horticulturist and setting up a meeting to go walk the site with them and to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay, that'd be great. And that's Christian Poise is the landscape architect?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll get with the horticulturist to make sure that I'm kind of in the loop on that conversation to know what direction everybody is headed in, to make sure we're all on the same page. I think any specific questions you have, Larry, for any staff members that are here?
I guess the biggest item is as we start to morph the site plan to conform to any of these heritage trees, at what threshold are y'all going to say we have to redo the PUD?
Well, and right now, way we're kind of looking at, and this kind of really came to a head yesterday, so we haven't had a whole lot of time. So we're figuring it out too. But I think where we're currently thinking, you've got a buildable area. We're going to look at where the trees need to be saved, and you have a lot of flexibility as buildings go. You basically just have a square footage and height caps. So the buildings can change. I think the risk is more on you guys a little bit. So, and that's why I was kind of asking about parking and getting all paving in. If you just had dirt, you could rearrange parking and buildings, and maybe one building that in the plan you're showing is 1 story, it goes to 2 to get the square footage in. So we really can't answer that. I think, in general, if you're staying under the square footage, the height, we've got one comfort level there. Where it gets a little tricky is if the buildable areas change greatly, and obviously green space. But I'm kind of imagining green space will increase a little bit when we're looking at some of these protections. So I don't think that'll be an issue. It may move, but. So, that's kind of where the flexibility lies. It also brings in some ambiguity, and I can't just give you a hard line. This is the threshold. It kind of, I think we'll just stay in touch and see where, which trees should be remaining, and that'll give us an idea on how that affects the buildable areas, and we can look at it that way. After we get that, we can have probably a more informed conversation.
All right. You said a word that reminded me of another question I had, which was the green space. The comment, the green space is questionable, and I know we, like you just said, we might be gaining some more potential green space. Whether or not that green space would classify itself as green space per the subdivision regs. Probably not. It could, who knows? But You know, I just need something definitive from y'all, other than it's questionable if y'all are saying we're going to meet it or we're not, because right now we basically submitted exactly what the Planning Commission and the City Council approved for this site layout. We actually provided a site plan, and so and we have not varied from that site plan. And so if we need to submit for a waiver and make the argument that, you know, we're providing exactly what we said we were going to provide when they last approved it, I just need to know that now, not in a week or two when it's too late for the advertisement.
Well, part of the questionability of the green space was the courtyard areas that we're showing right now.
Yeah, I understand why you're saying it's questionable. I'm just saying you're questioning under the guise of the MOP process, which that's what we're under. You know, when we came through with the site plan to get this zoning, and everybody knew that it was going to be multiple buildings, the Planning Commission and the City Council were fine with every bit of landscaping we showed, because we provided that landscape plan, we provided that site plan. And so I'm just, if y'all are going to say we don't meet it, right now you're not saying, you're just saying it's questionable. So if you're saying we don't meet it, we need to submit for a waiver.
In that PUD, you just show a buildable area, not a building footprint. So in turn, that buildable area could have had green space incorporated within it. Those courtyards could be expanded to be larger.
Do you have all 3 sheets of our approved PUD?
I have the exhibit that was codified, and I have a sheet that was inside the PUD that showed building footprints. But the building footprints was not what was codified with the ordinance. Your exhibit just shows buildable area. On one of the sheets, it shows square footage of buildings and what they're going to be, but that was not in the site plan that was recorded with the ordinance.
Y'all didn't record all the 3 sheets that we gave y'all?
What are the other 2 sheets that you're referring to? I mean, by anything we're looking at, there's not an approved building footprint in the PUD.
No, and we're not. What I'm talking about, we had sheets 1 of 3, sheets 2 of 3, and sheets 3 of 3. That's what I'm referring to.
All right, let me do, after this meeting, I'll do some looking into what those other sheets are that were in the PUD. Most of the information I took off was the one Exhibit A that was in the attached at the end of the ordinance that showed the building footprints. I have the file for the actual PUD that I'll pull out and look through and find what those sheets are. And that'll give me a little more idea. So are you saying that there was language in there that approved the green space as is?
Well, no, we provided a site plan, and we provided what all those areas of what was on that site plan. Our buildable area can be 100% building. I mean, those add up to be what our total footprint can be if you go through and do the math.
Right.
Those were the areas like that they can build out to. And so everything else that's not asphalt and it's not shown as concrete patch and it's not shown as pavers is the landscaped area. I mean,
so I got the file. I'm looking at the different sheets that you were referring to right now.
So I'm looking at sheet 1 of 3.
Yeah, that's the building layout plan.
And
then the second sheet is the developer build-out plan.
Yep, and that's what we're talking about today, where they're not building out the actual pads.
And then the third plan is
a lot layout
plan.
So if you add all those buildable areas, do they take into account multiple stories or?
No, that is just the first floor
Okay.
area. That's the area
So some
that's the
building-
big box.
Right, so some of that buildable area can be a taller building. That is not illustrating the full buildable building footprint. So that's where I think we will, by its very nature, and just as a very quick example on where we're going. I know this isn't your exact question, but let's see if I can share this real quick to kind of help illustrate this. I gotta do a stop sharing here, share again. So this was from the landscape plan, and you show a tree being preserved here.
Yeah.
And it's shown tiny when in reality it is, let me get back to here. It is this tree.
Yeah.
So when we look at the canopy, what we're looking at, that's going to greatly impact where the buildings are sited within the buildable area, and by relation, maybe the height of the building. So in your courtyard is, and sorry, I'm having to jump back and forth between images. So where your courtyard here is shown as green space may increase when you show canopy and have to have protection on that tree. So that's where I'm going with. We don't know the answer to these questions yet until we kind of look at.
Is this Hunter talking?
It is.
No? Yeah, Hunter, I see the bubble now. And I totally get that, but I'm saying I need to know just based on this site. Yes, I agree. The green space, if it might grow it probably will grow based on these trees. But all that set aside, let's say we didn't have a tree issue. We are submitting a site plan that looks identical to the site plan that was approved for our PUD. Okay. And in that site plan, we list the landscaped area, we list the buildable ground floor area, and I know that buildable ground floor area might shrink due to some tree issues. But where I'm having my heartburn is on now our landscape green space might not be acceptable, and I get we're dealing with two different ordinances. One's a zoning, and now we're looking at a subdivision. And so, if I need to make a waiver request for that green space, I just need to know now so I can go ahead and get it in. Is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Part of the green space that's trying to figure out is it eligible green space is the courtyards themselves. It's showing brick pavers, but for the courtyards, per the zoning ordinance and per the subdivision regulations both, I'm just trying to be sure that they actually are green space, that it's not just a sidewalk in between two buildings. You can label the courtyard open space, and that's great and all, but at the time of actual development, those may change. But just knowing what types of materials those are going to be, what type of landscaping is going to be included. I know that's hard to do at this point in time, because we're not building everything out, and that could be something that can be, transferred to the site plan reviews for the buildings, making sure that the green space for each individual building site, meets that standard. So that's the kind of the catch-22 going from a PUD to the multiple occupancy project to site plan review, is making sure all three of those are still tied together and they all meet the same intent at the end of the day.
And Larry, let me propose and check with your team, see if y'all are okay with this. We could, for the courtyards, if that's my concern, we can kind of tie those to the standard in the subdivision regulations, that those will be developed per, that definition in the table of the courtyard.
One.
Yeah. Okay. If y'all are okay with that, that may be the solution there, and we just tie those to site plan review, so that there's some comfort level knowing how that's going to get developed, and not as Mike's concerned, but valid concern that it might just be another open paved area that people park in.
Yeah.
So I think we can accomplish that relatively easy. If your team's okay with that.
Yeah, and that's how we left that meeting. And I don't know if Mike was in it or not. I can't remember. But when we were trying to figure out, because I foresaw that we were going to have some green space issues, and we were talking about how to deal with this site and its unique nature. And so, no, I don't think there's any issue with saying that these open space courtyard areas have to be developed in compliance with that section. That is our intent.
And by the piecemeal nature, if we have to get if they need more definitive language, that this is a place for common area with seating and things like that, we can do that as part of the MOP. But we'll I think that's where we go, and how we get there. You'll certainly be a part of that conversation.
So to be clear and answer your question, no, I don't think that a waiver for the green space is going to be needed. It was just making sure that we knew at the end of the day, because right now the requirement's 10% for green space, and you're like 10.8% green space. So since we were on the fringe there, and this is a buildable site that's not, actually designed to where things are 100% going to go. I didn't want to get down the road and all of a sudden, if you lost 1,000 square foot of green space due to the way somebody wanted to put their building, or rent something else, or a problem came up putting in a water main, or the options are endless, that you didn't fall under that and it ran into a problem later.
Yeah, and I get that, and I know it'll be a task for you and I to keep up with as these site plans come to you, to make sure that we're maintaining the required green space in those, the courtyard space, because it might look slightly different at the end of the day when we have true building plans, but we're going to have an area that we're going to have to abide by it. And like I said, some of it's going to be shifting and growing due to trees, and we'll obviously take that into account too. Okay. Thanks, Larry.
All right. Is Curtis or are you on here?
Yeah, Curtis and Tim are here. One thing we want to point out that we require either C900 or ductile. And we don't allow the 11 1/4 fittings.
Okay.
And the bedding, it's got to make sure I guess the reg is if it's reused, what's there, it's got to be sifted or sand, make sure all the bedding is right.
All right. No 11.
You may have to replace the dirt.
The
Depends on what's
C900.
there.
I'm sorry, I was talking over you. What was that?
For the bedding,
Uh huh.
you have to make sure that if you reuse, it's got to be sifted or you have to bring in like a sand material.
Yeah, I'm guessing we'll bring in.
I know you probably already know that.
Yeah. I'll double check, see what pipe we had listed. I thought it was C900, but I'll double check, and I'll make sure our detail for the bedding is clear that it's sand. I think it just lists the material type or specs, but doesn't say anything about using it existing material. So I'll double check those details.
Thank you. The question. Another question for us, or I think you talked to Jay about the sewer.
Yeah, he mentioned possibly putting in a lift station. Might be cheaper in the long run, and if we go that route, it'll definitely be cheaper on the bore. He was talking about possibly being able to do a 2-inch force main, not having to case it, because ALDOT doesn't require casing on a 2-inch bore. And the whole gravity scenario came about just talking with Richard Peterson when we first started looking at this project a couple of years back, and he was hopeful to be able to put gravity there to be able to serve not just our property, but also the Hayek PUD, which is two parcels to the north, and now we have to our north. We now have a business zoned piece of property that's currently listed for sale. It was residential when we first started this project, but now it's been rezoned to B2. So I think
we always rather the gravity, definitely. Yeah.
Hey Larry, it's Mike. I talked to Richard and Jay, and I think they're both in agreement on as it's designed right now with the gravity.
Okay, so they prefer the gravity.
Yeah, I've talked to them both, and they want to go with how you have it now with the gravity feed.
Okay, well, we'll leave that as is. I won't do any more research.
Yeah, save you some time on that one. I mean, it was a great idea, but like I said, with everything to the north, that's our concern.
Yeah, I get it. We're trying to be good neighbors, so help us and help everybody else at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then that's all I have. I'll check those utility notes and check the fittings that we have listed. And other than that, I think our big hurdle right now is figuring out what to do with these trees.
That sounds good, Larry. Does any other staff members have any questions or anything they need to discuss at this time? Take that for a no. Larry, if you don't have any other questions, I'll follow this up with an email, and then we can get Christian and Paul, the city horticulturalist, together and come up with a game plan for those trees out there and what the landscape plan will be.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, who's next?
Carla.
Okay.
This is case SD 20.29, and I'll share my screen. This is for a 2-lot minor subdivision. The property is approximately 16.75 acres, and it is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of Highway 181 and Highway 104. Dewberry is working on this. I sent an email with the cover letter to Casey and Mr. Humphrey. One of the concerns is just asking that revise the subdivision application to completely fill out the authorized agent information. The actual copy that I have in the file is.
I'm just gonna catch something real quick. When you save a little different. Let's go to that one so they see what you're talking about now. If I can see that.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, we can see it now.
Sorry, you should have told me. But revised subdivision application to completely fill out the authorized agent information. The copy that is in the packet is blank. There's nothing under the authorized agent box. Also revise the memorandum of transmittal form to be signed and dated by the applicant. The signature block as well as the date is blank on that as well. Staff just needed some clarification. As you can see on lot 1, you have the 30-foot BSL, and then facing Highway 104, you have the 100-foot construction setback line. So staff didn't know if you wanted to revise that to have the 181 be the same as the 100-foot highway construction setback as it appeared on 104. If so, then the labeling would need to be revised along Highway 181. Also, the plat should be revised to depict the square footage as well as the acreage for lots 1 and 2. You just have the acres listed. The plat should be revised to depict a sidewalk along lot 1 and 2 where the site abuts road frontage, or the submission of a sidewalk waiver request is required. I know that the commission has been really big on, if the sidewalk's not going to be placed, at least allowing that utility drainage sidewalk easement to be identified. Also, the plat does not depict a fire hydrant please revise plat to depict an existing fire hydrant that is within 450 feet or depict the installation of a new fire hydrant. If the applicant cannot provide the previous information, a waiver request will be required. So, and then the last is revised plat to depict the 15-foot drainage and utility easements. And that's all that I had.
Hey, Carla, this is Buford. So correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like that on the west side of Lot 1, they are reflecting the new ALDOT right-of-way. But what you and I looked at is that we're not for sure. Like you said, we're not for sure what the highway construction setback is from the center line, from the new center line of 181. And so that 30-foot building setback line may be exactly where it needs to be, but this is a big deal, recording a plat like that at a two major highway. So yeah, if they can clarify that would be very, very helpful.
Yes, thank you, Buford. Casey, I know you were having some issues earlier. Are you on now?
And Carla, her thumbnail popped up about 10 minutes ago, and either Hunter or I admitted her, but for some reason I don't think she can hear us.
Casey, I think, was having some problems with audio. Let's try something real quick. This might be a train wreck. Casey, if you can hear me, give me a call at my office and I'll put you on speaker. It may just give a lot of distortion and I hang up with you, but if you can, call me at 251-929-7403. At 929-7403. If you can hear us. All right. Casey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, can y'all hear Casey?
Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on just a second, Casey. I got my speaker down. This is where you might get a little weird. All right, can somebody speak in the meeting? Buford, can you? Okay. Casey, you with me?
I am, and I was able to listen to you guys, so
Okay.
I can address any concerns you have if you'd like me to just go ahead and start.
Can y'all hear Casey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys working with me on this. I have been working on addressing Carla's concerns in the letter, and I just wanted to say that we have depicted 2 of the fire hydrants on the revised plat that are within 450 feet. And we are planning on submitting a sidewalk waiver and depicting a sidewalk easement per, I think, the 5th comment. And as for the rest of them, I'm just working on addressing them.
Hey everyone, this is Buford, and I've got a quick question for Emily. What is our deadline for waivers?
That is the day comments are due.
So 18th, a week from, nope. Yeah, June 18th, week from today.
Yes.
Okay, so super simple. Any request for waiver, turn it in with your responses.
Did you catch that, Casey?
I did. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Casey?
Yeah, Curtis and Tim are here. There are fire plugs that are out of service now after the, or will be. Which 2 is she talking about? Can she point them out?
I've depicted one to the north of Three Circle Church, which is the property owner to the east, and there's one to, I guess, in the entrance to the subdivision to the southwest. I can't remember the name.
Casey, can you see this? Y'all have to forgive us. Casey's on the phone. We're looking, and Carla's sharing the screen. So let me see if I can just take control of request control. Carla, you might need to give me permission for that.
Okay.
It's Hollowbrook Subdivision to the southwest.
So they're not gonna show on this plan?
No, I've depicted them on the revised plat.
Is this the?
I'm just having to move.
No.
Okay. Curtis, we'll get that to y'all. We'll get the revised copy and get it to you after we get off the call, okay?
That's fine, yeah, just one of them hydrants is gonna be taken out of service. That's on 181, that's on the old 6-inch water main that's, that we upgraded to a 12-inch, so one of them hydrants will be removed from the system.
Okay, okay. So that might impact this project, Casey. So we'll get to the details of that on that. We'll start working on that when we get off the call. Carla, do you have the revised plan that we can give, or Casey, do you need to?
I do not have a revised plan.
Okay.
I can send it after this meeting.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. We'll look at that and see if that's one of the ones being removed, and that'll give Casey what she needs to know to move forward with, whether it's a waiver or a new installation.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Anybody got anything else for Casey? Okay. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Casey. I'm gonna hang up with you just to make this a little easier. Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Carla, did you have anything else?
No, that was all that I had.
Okay.
So I'll move along to the second one because I have this one as well. Case SD 2030. This is Ferry Road Estates, a 2-lot minor division. The property is approximately 0.89 acres and is located the east side of Ferry Road between Kinley Drive and Ferry Road Circle. Mr. Seth Moore is the individual working on this project. I emailed the comments to Mr. Moore on Tuesday evening, and since there were only 2, I needed I needed him to provide a letter by Baldwin County Sewer to confirm sewer service, and he did email me that yesterday evening. And then also I had made a comment about the fire hydrant, and in his email he says that he shows this arrow and this statement that says 450 feet south to fire hydrant. I'm not exactly sure our stance. I know that the previous commission meeting, there was some controversy about how far it has to be from the lot versus another hydrant. And so that's a question that I guess we could all discuss right now. If this is what we would want, or if the commission would want something else.
So, hey, this is Buford. So I guess my question for Seth is, exactly where is the existing hydrant?
Well, if you look on that map to the south side, keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, you see it says existing fire hydrant. That is plotted from exactly where we located it. From that fire hydrant to the north property line of lot 2 is 450 feet. So that means that every one of those lots are within 450 feet. So I mean, it's what is covered under the regulations, and again, it's within the south line of lot 2 would be less than 400 feet to that fire hydrant. Does that answer your question, Buford?
Yeah, Seth. So I think my comment here is, for this particular case, I don't think that's a concern because of the spacing. The other issues that we heard at the Planning Commission meeting, I don't think we really need to we could go on ad nauseum about that. I think that's just simply that's a battle we have to fight once we get in the meeting. The revisions we've got in mind for subregs hopefully will bring some clarity to that. I think we're okay on this one for now. Just be prepared. Just be prepared for whatever you may be asked during the meeting.
Yes,
Wait, and Seth, let me offer a little bit of clarification because you may hear some other conversations referring to fire code. This is not in our permit jurisdiction, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I'm assuming this is not in our, I think we discussed that before, and therefore our code is not applicable. There is, the fire code talks about the distance is measured to the building, not the lot. So you may hear some of the conversation coming in the next 2 months on what our ultimate solution is for some of these. This one just is not applicable there because it's not in our permit.
Yeah, that's correct. This is outside of our permitting and police jurisdiction. So our adopted ordinances, which is the 2018 fire code, does not apply there from the city side. I don't know about Baldwin County or, whomever is the fire jurisdiction. I think that's Barnwell. And Hunter, you are correct. The actual requirement says that a hydrant has to be within 400 feet of a facility or building, not a lot line. So just as future reference in this one from our end, our regulations don't apply. Our code enforcement will not apply there because that's not in our jurisdiction. But to clarify for everyone, that's actually what it says.
Gotcha.
There are two exceptions for that based on occupancy, which doesn't apply here, or for buildings equipped with an automatic sprinkler system. Can exceed, then the distance can be 600 if the house has a sprinkler system.
So I know, and yeah. So and Seth, the only reason I brought that up is because you kind of been through a couple of these, and some that measurement will apply. And just want to make sure we weren't getting confused with this case. So thank you for helping clarify that, Eric.
You got it.
Okay, that was all I had for this subdivision, unless someone else had something that they wanted to discuss.
I think we're good to go.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next case, what we got?
Okay, the next one is going to be mine. Let's see. Can you all see the drawing?
We can.
Okay. All right. So it is SD 20.31, public hearing to consider the request of Joey and Janet Langley for plat approval of Dewberry Estates, a 2-lot minor division. The property is approximately 3.8 acres and is located on the north side of Dewberry Lane at 9781 Dewberry Lane. I did email out some comments to Mr. Hunter Smith. Those comments were pretty generic, but I'll go through them. We do need those utility letters from the utility service providers. Also, the flow model data and the nearby hydrants need to be shown on the plat. Pedestrian circulation in terms of sidewalks either need to be illustrated or a waiver. And your easements need to be at least 15 feet on your east and west side. You're showing 10-foot easements, and those easements need to be 15 feet. Some additional comments: that memorandum of transmittal needed to be signed by Baldwin County, and your setback lines also should be illustrated on the plat. I do want to note that after looking through the file, I do see that there was a letter that mentioned that you are going to be requesting waivers for the sidewalk, for street frontage, because we see Highway 181, but this is just a easement, ingress, egress easement, so we will need a waiver for the street frontage and for fire hydrants. So I just wanted to again reiterate that we do have the waiver requests for those three things. Those were all the comments that I had. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
On the water side, there's not fire protection down that road. It's a 2-inch line.
Okay.
Did you copy that?
Yes, I hear you. So you are going to be you will be requesting the waiver though to put a hydrant. That's correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And Hunter, did you get that deadline for waiver request? You got a week to get that in?
Yes, I got one question. Memo of transmittal, I believe I submitted an approval letter from Baldwin County.
You have the memorandum for transmittal. It's in there and it's signed by, you signed it. However, it wasn't signed by the engineer or the planner at the bottom. So we have your name and the subdivision name, but it's not signed at the bottom.
Right, I thought I included the letter from the county that approved the division. I don't know.
I'm looking through the file right now. Hold on one second.
Hey, Hunter.
Was it an approved exemption through the county?
Yes.
Right. If we have that exemption letter, then that will cover the memorandum.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be signed. It's just present, and I just saw that there wasn't a signature, but the exemption letter will suffice. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And Samara, where that other one is a little bit more critical is if the property is zoned by the county.
Okay.
So yeah, he's fine in this case. And
Gotcha.
Hunter Smith, just to clarify a little bit, like Samara was saying, your drainage utility easements that are halos on your property are 15 feet. You do have an internal lot line between lot 1 and lot 2. So technically you could split that in half to be 7.5 feet on either side. But a question Samara and I had for you was this: is that required to be 10 feet by Riviera Utilities? We know that sometimes Riviera requires something wider than what our subdivision regulations require.
I believe your subdivision regs will satisfy it. You're just saying you need 15 feet on the external and a total of 15 on the center line, right?
That's correct. Yeah, for your exterior, for your perimeter, 15 feet, and where you have internal lot lines, you can split that in half. From time to time, Riviera Utilities will require something wider. So when we see that, we always just make certain if it's not asking for above and beyond to satisfy Riviera.
Yeah, I think I'd be good with that.
Good enough.
Okay, those are all the comments that I have. Does staff have any additional comments? Okay. So the next case is mine as well. This is a utility review for AT&T for 3,729 linear foot of underground fiber optic cable. The project will run along the north side of Twin Beach Road from 8345 Twin Beach Road to County Road 13. I did send out a letter listing revisions or requirements from some of our public works and utility staff. If any of our public works or utility staff want to jump in and make any additional comments, or if Mr. If Mr. Mitchell is on the line, if you had any questions, I can just go through.
I'm here. No, I didn't really have any questions. We put in 3 locate requests this morning to get the sewer line located that was brought up in the notes. That I don't remember. I don't think it was located when we did the previous locate request initially, but we'll get that added and sent in.
Okay.
And Wade, this is Buford. Just to jump in here real quick, as you can tell, we've got John Thomas helping us out now with these, and we appreciate his help. And so some of the requests for potholing and identifying elevations of existing utilities, that's something new, but that's also extremely helpful for us. So and I'll get with John to see. Typically we would do that in the construction phase of it. So I'll get with him and see how he wants to handle that, or if he wants to meet me out there and we can both do it or whatever. That's fine. There you go. Appreciate that, Wade. Thank you.
Okay. Does staff have any other questions or comments?
and just so I don't, I guess I don't see Public Works on here, but we did a lot of conversation. We had a lot of conversation with Dewberry about this project as well. Andy Bovee is doing the project for the roundabout that's coming at 13. So a lot of the extra depths and stuff, especially on the last drawing, are kind of to work around future drainage and things that are coming with that roundabout relocation. So
outstanding.
So we're already anticipating having to relocate to the east of where this is, but the placement that this project is proposing should not be in conflict with that project that's in the works.
Very good. And Wade, John is helping us quite a bit too, because he's kind of being the ambassador for Public Works. So he's able to provide a little bit of crossover in that area for right of way types of things.
Yeah. John's been helpful. I've talked with him quite a bit in the last couple months.
All right. Thank you, sir. That's great.
All right. If no one has anything else, that's all I have.
And just a quick announcement for everyone real quick. It's not here on our list, but for those who might not have heard it earlier, the Mars Hill minor subdivision that we had at the last meeting, it's very possible that it will make it onto the July meeting. We're having a standalone meeting with Dewberry and the client on Monday morning to deal with that. So Emily, for your information, it could very well be on the July agenda, and you'll get a staff report in sufficient time if it does. But that's all I have, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.